We acknowledge this land we meet on is the traditional lands for the Kaurna people, and we respect their spiritual relationship with their country. We also acknowledge the Kaurna people as the custodians of the Adelaide region and that their cultural and heritage beliefs are still as important to the living Kaurna people today. We extend respect to the cultural authority of all Aboriginal and First Nations people.
Podcast.
Amy and is a podcast that explores all kinds of bookish things, and that can include some pretty adult content. So please be aware that some of this content will be not safe for work or for young ears, and be careful who's listening when you are. I'm going to get started because we're all here and we might as well. So welcome to the very first Amy and live book club. It's shiny, it's new. I reckon the hinges are going to squeak a little tonight, but that's okay. So we're here tonight with the entire cast of Amy and. So I'll just go through and introduce them and they can wave at you. So we have Millie Heffernan, Harry Stewart, Abby Guy, Peyton Hogan, and Justina Ashman. So has everyone made their cocktail?
Yeah.
I did.
Of course.
Of course.
Now, I'm going to ask them all to hold up their sandwiches. Luscious. Total luscious. Not
Scone.
one of us.
Got a scone.
Well done. He hates cucumbers, so that's fair. I
No
have
sandwich,
a jam
but I've got
scroll.
backup cocktail.
Aw.
Ooh, jam
I
scroll.
feel like a pirate with this.
I was going to say,
Yeah,
Peyton,
not
is that a
drinking at all.
cocktail or is that a mocktail? Because that is a fair amount of alcohol.
I made many mistakes making this beverage. One thing, I brewed the tea for a really long time, and I don't own a shaker, so I couldn't figure out the measurements. And because of that, I was so stressed out that I was taste testing the whole way through making it.
So you've had at least two by now.
Yeah, so Peyton's tiddled.
Probably.
So if anyone watching or listening later on the pod would like to make the cocktail, it is up on our Instagram page. So it's an Earl Grey tea with gin. And it's the way, like I was a bit like, oh, I'm not sure how that will go.
Yeah.
It's actually really nice. And I didn't really
Gin
put
and
sugar in
lemon.
mine.
Oh,
Gin
Oh,
and
and
lemon. Yeah, I
lemon.
forgot the lemon. You
I didn't know we had to stew like Earl Grey tea for like 5 minutes until we made it, because it takes like a while to really like get it out of the tea bag. And then
Yeah.
I was like, oh, and when I did that, I realized I actually like Earl Grey tea. I just do it too
Yeah,
fast.
it's quite delicate.
Yeah.
You've just been drinking
Yeah.
hot water.
I've just been drinking, lightly colored hot water, and I was like, ooh.
No, these Austin girls, you need to soak them for a while before they loosen up. So for our very first book of the month, we picked Pride and Prejudice because it is Jane Austen's 250th birthday this year, not till December, but I brought my old copy because it's got all my notes and highlights. But then I also I've been doing some bookstore visits and I keep buying copies of Pride and Prejudice. So
Nice.
this
That
one's
was
got like,
beautiful.
That's gorgeous.
and it feels all soft. So I read this one actually, and did not mark it up. But we picked Pride and Prejudice partly because it's Jane's birthday and they're doing a whole bunch of Pride and Prejudice stuff. Like if you loved the 2005 Pride and Prejudice, they're re-releasing it on the big screen so you can watch Matthew's fingers twitch on the big screen. And then we also picked it because someone in this chat had not actually ever read Pride and Prejudice. Would anyone like to own up to who that would be?
I don't know. No, definitely me. I have not. It's actually the first Jane Austen I've read.
Wow.
So not even just Pride and Prejudice itself.
Had
but
you seen the
Austen.
movie?
Yeah, the 2005 one.
Yeah.
The
Because there was
2005 one,
the
one with Keira Knightley.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was the 1995 British series, which was like cultish back in the 90s. Like everyone watched it.
Is that the
And-
BBC one?
Yeah, it's got Colin Firth
Oh.
getting out of the lake, that one.
Mm.
And it was just like people are still obsessed. Like people rewatch that every single year. And
It's
that
my
really,
fave.
yeah, it gave the book room to breathe, right? Like it
Yeah.
actually takes up quite a lot of space.
It's
See, when the
Um,
2005 version came out, it was quite controversial for that one to be your favorite Austen adaptation. And then just recently, I saw a video of someone saying their controversial opinion was that the 90s miniseries was better. And I was like, how the turntables.
yeah, I know, right? It's all generational.
I just rewatched the 2005 one with my mum for the first time that she's ever seen it because of reading this and coming up to this. And she just kept the entire time being like, when does he fall in the lake? Like, I'm pretty sure he falls. And I was like, not this one. Not
Yeah,
this one.
not this one. So we would invite you all to get your drinks, get your sandwiches, and we're going to go through some questions. And I'm going to ask some questions. And then Peyton has thrown in some A-grade Peyton questions, which will have us all on our toes. So my first one is to test your memory or whether you actually read the book. What's Mr. Darcy's first name?
Classic question.
It's William.
Yeah, is it
Fitz.
Fitzwilliam? They say
Yeah.
it like once.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
a name.
What a name. Does everyone know
What a name.
what Fitz means? Justina will. You're a history nerd. You're totally going to know.
It has a
It
meaning.
means son. So Fitzwilliam is son of William.
Mm.
Oh.
Yeah.
I know that it's
And-
an old name. Like,
Yeah.
Williams
And
is an old-
usually it was like a bastard son.
Oh.
So son of William. So if you were the son of the king, so Fitz Rufus or Fitz, or like, you know, they would have different names to signal this is the king's son, but not
It's a
on
really
the right side of
big
the sheets.
plot point in Robin Hobb's Assassins trilogy.
Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I know it because
Spoiler.
of history knowledge.
Yeah,
I'm reading
huge
Yeah,
bastard.
yeah, definitely is the history thing. All right, so what did we all think of the book, especially Abby who hadn't read it and other people who maybe hadn't gone back to it for a while? Thoughts? Like hot takes?
I really loved it. One of the things that we might get into later is I think I did read it a bit differently this time. I think I read it with, I sort of kept in my like modern sensibilities a bit more. And so I was a bit more critical of certain things this time around, I feel. But I still love it, obviously. I'm not going to ruin everything for myself because then I would never enjoy anything. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, this
I
is the first time
found-
I've read it since the PhD. So I think I agree with Peyton. I read it slightly. Well, I didn't even read it. I listened to the audiobook for the first time.
Rosamund, did you go
Yeah,
Rosamund
Rosamund
Pike?
Pike, I tell you.
She's-
Oh my
Oh,
god.
she's so good.
It's
Oh,
great.
the
I also
volume.
listened to the audiobook this
Oh.
time round. Yeah.
Love
I found
it.
the like physical book quite not difficult to get into, but it was the style of writing was missing everything that I enjoy in a novel, in that it's very dialogue heavy and like the descriptions of setting and place, etc., are really minimal, which is what I enjoy when I
Yeah,
read.
it's not filmic, right? It's
Yeah,
not
it's
filmic
not
at
like,
all.
and it's not immersive in that way. So I found it didn't appeal to me in that regard. But then I, on recommendation, was listening to the audiobook by Rosamund Pike. I downloaded free Audible just so I could. And I really enjoyed that. I think she makes characters so funny, and she's much funnier narrator than I am in my head when I'm reading the book.
Yeah. I mean, I think one
Agreed.
thing that's interesting about the classics is often you think the populace was not educated and couldn't read. So often a reading experience, except if you're like Jane Austen's class where they all read. But if you're a regular person, you're having it read aloud to you. Like they'd go to the pub and have installments read of Dickens or whatever. And so I think the like listening to an audiobook is actually a very authentic way to listen to a 19th century novel.
Yeah.
I also think it can't, like, it's hard for a modern, like, a contemporary reader to be hitting the same kind of inflections and getting the same meaning out of it, especially if you're not familiar with that type of text. Whereas Rosamund Pike lived it, so she's well positioned to, like, just really give it the juice we need.
Really convey the
traveller.
nuances.
Lee in the chat says that they've never seen an adaptation before reading it, which I think is incredible to have like no Pride and
I
Prejudice.
still haven't seen an adaptation.
Oh, we need a view party.
We
Hey,
need to.
Yeah.
where do you
I'm-
start though? Like, where do you start? Like, do you go right back and watch like, I don't know, like a 1940s film, or do you dive into 2005? Like, maybe we just go to the
God.
movies and all watch it together, Pete.
I really want to do that. Let's do that.
Let's
Maybe
do that.
before that, I'll watch the BBC one
Oh,
just because it was
Oh,
released.
you should
first.
at
Yeah.
some point watch the
Yeah,
BBC
it's
one.
great.
But we'll
It's
start with
certainly-
the movie.
Prioritize the
Especially
movie.
because like the difference between Jennifer earl, I think is how you say it, and Keira Knightley is huge, right? Like you've got an older woman who is definitely an adult woman
Yeah.
versus a girlish kind of very pretty girl. Like they're very different kind of characterizations of Lizzie.
One thing I remember when that shocked me when I was reading it again or listening to it again was how fast paced it was. Like I completely forgot how quick this novel moves.
I was going to say,
Really? 'Cause
Abby,
I think it's the opposite.
do you have like an old classic? What edition have you got?
I have the Wordsworth classic.
Yeah, because I have this Penguin one, and it's actually really hard going because it's really small print and the chapters are really long. And when I switched to this one, I'm like, wow, I'm reading this fast. And it's because the pages are so big. A chapter is literally 3 pages. So I was just ripping through it.
Yeah.
So I think partly it's what edition you have.
And this edition that I have doesn't separate the chapters onto like new, like the chat, it just continues. It never, the page just
mine is
continues.
like that as well, but mine has pictures.
Oh, yours tiny.
Oh, jealous.
You can kind of see it there.
Oh.
All right, Peyton, you want to go with the Peyton question?
Oh my gosh, yes. Let me see if I can get this bad boy cranking.
Oh no.
Amazing.
Is the screen clear? You can see the slide.
Yeah, talk us through it though, in case someone can't.
So you're going to be locked in prison for 5 days and you're going to have company. Would you rather be stuck with Mr. Collins or Miss Bingley?
Oh, Miss Bingley. I'm going Miss Bingley.
I'm also going Miss Bingley.
I'm going Collins.
Yeah, me
I'm
it's
going
Collins.
Bingley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? Why are you picking Collins?
I never liked him until the audiobook, and then in the audiobook,
You like him?
Okay, can I just say it's not Rosamund pretending to be him. It's actually him.
Just in the room with the
It's
real
Rosamund Pike with a wig.
he's just never made me laugh. I always thought he was so pretentious when I read the original,
He
but
is.
honestly,
He's
yeah, he still
awful.
is, yeah. But the voice that she gives Mr. Collins in the audiobook just made me laugh at everything that he
I
said.
don't want like a
So
limp
Harry wants
mansplainer.
Rosamund Pike. So
I want
Yeah,
Rosamund Pike.
basically.
I stand on
All
that
right,
hill.
all right.
So he's really,
We'll all have her.
I feel like he's ridiculous in a way that's amusing for all of 5 minutes. And then you
Oh.
realize that you're in there for quite a long time.
You know the
Whereas
rejection?
I think Miss Bingley would be like, oh, I'm not talking to you, and just go sit by herself. I think she'd
I
leave
reckon
me
it would
alone.
be bored.
It would either be that or because you're one-on-one and you don't have to compete with
You'd be
anyone for her
besties.
affection. She might be your like best friend.
That's right.
I reckon you could bait her into like really dishing some good gossip.
That's
Oh,
true.
imagine.
Yeah, true. I feel like she'd at least pretend to like me. And in that scenario, that's all I would need.
I feel like everyone likes you, so that would be fine.
Yeah.
You can put
That's
Abby in
true.
with anyone, really.
I feel like I'd want to spend a couple days trying to find out the correct way to tell him I didn't want to marry him. And for 5 days, that would be quite the trial, and it would be a bit interesting. It would really pass the time, you know? So maybe that's why I'm picking him. How do I effectively tell this man that is just so persistent?
All
that I
you gotta
wanna
do-
He doesn't want to marry her. He just, wants to neaten up the
Well, yeah.
whole arrangement.
But it is
He's a funny guy.
He's a funny
he's
guy.
a funny guy.
Oh, that Coles. I don't remember his first name. Did we ever learn his first name, or is his first name Mister?
His first name is
I can-
Mister.
Yeah, Mister.
Yeah, he's just
Yeah.
Mr.
He's the guy that would make you call him that in bed. Oh, Mr. Collins.
True. He
would.
would.
I don't know if he'd make it that far.
His first name, do you guys want to take a guess?
Oh, so you know
He
this.
has got one. Yeah, I've
Okay.
Googled it.
Is it
Halifax.
Charles?
Oh, yeah.
Morris.
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 Collins. No,
Morris Collins.
his name is Mr. William Collins.
Oh, another
Oh.
Oh, I
William.
forgot. Every single male character in this book is called William.
William.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
William.
That's why
All
Jane
right.
only uses their surnames.
All right. So we're also going to throw to Lee. So she's in the chat, but also put on our Facebook group a comment that she was surprised by how long it takes Mr. Darcy to make a move. Do we want to talk about the chastity element, like how slow people are to make a move and what we think about that? Do we feel this immense longing for that mannered existence where people take their time and it's all very courteous?
I felt like they fell in love so quickly. So I
I
felt
feel
like
like
the
it's mixed
opposite.
because
Yeah.
in some ways it's like they go to dinner 3 times and suddenly everyone's talking about getting married. And on the other hand, I think Darcy, on the other hand, it's happening over a longer time period than it feels like in the book, because they'll
Yeah.
say,
Mm.
oh, we've been over 4 times this week or whatever.
Mm.
And, meanwhile, it's just a page turn for us. But also, I think Darcy he doesn't want to make a move. It's like very reluctantly attracted to her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I found it really
yeah.
interesting that because this is from ages ago. I was having a random chat with someone after the first time I read it, and I mentioned being surprised the first time around that there was not a single kiss in the book.
Mm.
Because other books that I've read written around that time, like they have kissing in them.
Yeah.
Or they imply more salacious things, but
Oh,
there's
go back and read
often
Dangerous Liaisons, right? Like that's just all sex all
Yeah.
the time.
So I
Marquis de
was so
Sade,
curious.
like he's not a
Martin
novelist, but
Sade.
he was around.
Yeah. And the person I was talking to was like, I'm pretty sure it ends in a kiss. And I was like, no, it
No.
definitely doesn't. I was waiting for it and then it didn't happen.
But
As
I
far
do
as
think
we
there's
know,
like
they didn't even kiss at the wedding.
like probably
Yeah.
not ever. I do think there is allusions to it though. It's just that Jane Austen, see, this is my hot take, and everyone can shut me down. I think Jane Austen was probably, I mean, who can tell, but was probably a virgin. She was certainly a spinster, unmarried, of a certain class where sex was not. I mean, probably no one even told her how you have sex or what sex was,
Yeah.
maybe.
And
I mean, maybe she did, who knows?
if
But I
the
thought,
characters ideals in the books are also similar to hers, then it would make sense that she's a virgin, because she really isn't a fan of people being silly and flirtatious.
no. And I think, like as a novelist, you do often just reflect your culture back. So she's often reflecting things back, but I don't know that she always, either she's condemning it or she doesn't quite understand it. Because with Lydia, there's a moment like near the end of the book where she says, Lydia led voluntarily to subjects which her sisters would not have alluded to for the world. And it's just like, you can only imagine what Lydia's talking about Wickham and her marriage. And
Yeah.
Can I
And-
also read another Lydia quote out? Because when I first read this quote, I was like, oh man, awesome. And then I realized that Austen was probably being critical in this sentence.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is after she comes back from eloping with Wickham, and she's just being her usual self, and not being contrite at all about being a huge slag, which is what the family wants her to do.
she was having a great time.
Yeah.
Yes.
It says Lydia was Lydia still, untamed, unabashed, wild, noisy, and fearless. I was like, oh, I love
Yeah.
Lydia. And then I was
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah.
wait, he's critical.
So can I tell you
Those are nice
guys,
qualities.
this copy I bought because I wanted to write a book about Lydia. And it's all highlighted with all the Lydia stuff. And I just
Please
love
write
Lydia.
it.
So when they describe her, she's like taller than all her sisters and bolder than all her sisters. And she's just like larger than life.
Yeah.
But also here, like they're talking about Lydia's loss of virtue, that loss of virtue in a female is irretrievable, that one false step involves her in endless ruin, right? But actually she ends up married to the guy she had the hots for. Darcy and Elizabeth fund her for the rest of her life. She gets to live the exact life she wants and be careless and free. So I don't know how much, I mean, she's only 15. We have to touch on that in a minute. But if you did a contemporary reading of this, it's child abuse.
I also don't know how much of a nice life she's going to have with Wickham. She has to
seems
stay
like-
with Wickham.
Yeah, but this is my point, is if you do a reading against the grain, against the dominant. So if you read it as his Jane Austen's judgment, but maybe I'm reading it with a different view, and you take her judgment out of it and read the characters differently, I reckon you can do a slightly different reading.
I don't think you can do a different reading of Wickham when he tried to seduce Georgiana also at 15. I think his history stacks up against him a little bit.
Yeah, probably the most, because he's a pedo. Yeah,
Not Lydia.
Sleepless.
You can read
Not
Lydia.
Lydia, you're right.
Yeah.
But the fact that she gets stuck with Wickham, I think sucks.
I mean, she's
she
quite
does kind of
transferable
get-
as a contemporary character.
She does kind of get saved from ruin. I mean, I was thinking because you get Colin's letter talking about Lydia after he hears all the gossip about her eloping, and it's so, I found it like shocking, because it's like, yeah, you kind of laugh at how pretentious and ridiculous Collins is, but then in this letter that he writes to the Bennets, he says, oh, he's so piteous of them, he's so sorry that they've had this scandal, and that it would have been better to hear that Lydia had died
I
than
know.
that she
Yeah.
eloped. and that he's
Yeah.
so grateful he didn't end up marrying into the family. But he wishes all the best for them, and he pities them so much. And I was
All
like,
in his letters.
wow,
'Cause
wild.
Because on the Chase thing, I also wonder if you read Mr. and Mrs. Bennet differently if you bring sex into the equation. Because you could read their banter as having a bit of a flirty edge if you wanted to.
Yeah.
No, this is
I
down on a
hadn't
limb.
thought of that before until you mentioned it, and I was like, oh.
I've never thought about that.
They have 5 kids, and they're, like he's
Yeah.
terrible the way he doesn't look after his kids and stuff. But
I was
there
going to
is
say something, but I don't necessarily want that on the podcast. But I'll tell you that afterwards. But you don't have to like each other to have 5 kids.
no, that is true. But I also think you can
And he's
read
also
some of
quite like he's horrible to her, really. Like I know we all love Mr.
Yeah, yeah.
Bennet because but he is pretty horrible to her.
Yeah.
There is a
It
part
was-
where
the book is pretty horrible to her too.
Yeah, true,
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
there is a part where Lizzie is actually reflecting on her parents' relationship and mentions that, she loves her father and she loves how much he has like a specific affection for her, but she's always thought it was awful the way he treats her mother, and that the
Yeah.
situation they're all in is because they're such an unmatched pair, in her opinion.
Mm.
Like that was an interesting perspective, because I feel like in the 2005 adaptation they do lean more to like this is a kind of flirty thing.
Yeah.
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 But it's, I mean, the gender relations are such a hot mess. Like just awful.
Yeah.
Mm.
The
And
Mr.
he
Bennet
married
is really
her.
funny.
He married her even though she was poor. They did marry for love in the first place. It's just that I can't remember what the quote is. I don't have the book with me, but it's just that they fell out of love, basically.
Yeah. He got like she became too, I don't know, he got kind of irritated with her over
Well,
time.
they had 5 girls, and then she got
And no money.
pretty neurotic.
Yeah. Yeah.
I-
Because what happens to her when he dies, right? Like what happens to Mrs.
Well, that's the tension of
Bennet.
Mr. Collins, is that their whole family could get turfed out at any moment.
Yeah.
And it's
But
sort of
someone, even if the girls get married though, someone's going to have to take her in. She's got nothing.
Yeah.
I did get when I was reading about Charlotte getting engaged to Mr. Collins, it didn't come across in the adaptations I've seen how angry Mrs. Bennet is about that, until I was like rereading the book and thinking, oh, she's angry because essentially her neighbor's daughter now owns her house if her husband dies, and that's why she's being so like aggressive to that whole family. And I'm like, oh, it is interesting. All of these
Fair.
little,
Totally
Yeah.
fair that you're
Yeah.
homeless. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Next on serious question, Peyton.
I'm ready to go. Hang on a second. Not ready to go.
I like that there's like visual
Media
aids
retraction.
for everything. Yeah, I mean the question of Lydia's age, I think, if we go back to that, because I agree with you, Millie, that was my last question on here. I was going to circle back to Lydia, because it's just in the 21st century, you just can't get around it. Like it's just appalling. The way everybody treats this 15-year-old kid is just, it's really impossible to get your head around.
Oh God.
Oh my God.
So basically, which character would be your type? Would you rather be in love or in a relationship with a Mr. Bingley type of person or a Mr. Darcy type of person?
Darcy. I'm going Darcy.
Yeah, I think
I could've
my
guessed that.
ideal would be Bingley, and I'd end up with a Darcy.
Is this the classic black cat or golden retriever?
Oh my God,
Pretty
true. Yeah,
Like
the
all of my
blonde and the
research-
brunette.
Yeah, all of my research points towards Bingley, but I want to say Mr. Darcy. But I am wondering how much I'm influenced by the book
Yeah.
and the media itself. That
Well, you know
paints
what
Mr.
puts me
Darcy.
off of Mr. Bingley is that, bless his soul, he seems so spineless to me. He is so easily influenced by everyone. He's in love with Jane, doesn't make a move, makes all sorts of presumptions about how she's feeling. Where's the honesty? Like, just communicate, Mr. Bingley.
I think
on.
Bingley's
No
problem
passion.
is the same as Jane's in that they're both naive. Like Bingley really wants to think the best about his sisters. He wants to think the best about Darcy all the time. And so he trusts Darcy. Darcy's his best friend since childhood, I think, or at least for a very long time. And he wants to trust his sisters. So when they tell him things, he's like, well, I guess you're right. It's
Yeah.
like can come across as spineless as well, obviously. But I think his main, if I was going to list his flaws, the first one would be naivety.
I
It's
feel
very
like
amiable to the family, which is like that would serve them well in the long term.
Mm.
Mm,
Yeah, I don't know about
feel
bringing
like
Darcy
They
to
would probably end up taking in Mrs. Bennet, him and Jane.
yeah,
Mm.
that's true. People like him in real life frustrate me because they seem to get around with no internal moral compass. They just lean on other people's suggestions all the time, and it annoys me. So unfortunately, he just kept reminding me of those people the whole time I was reading. I was like, be better, be
Be
stronger.
better, have an opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that hard?
I think it would be nice to spend time with Bingley though, because he's so upbeat and positive. You'd always be having a good time. But then it's
I
like,
want Bingley as a friend,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, I think Darcy
Yeah.
would be better in bed.
I don't
And
know,
also,
Bingley
he's
seems
kind of
pretty
generous
eager
with the
to
wealth,
please.
which would make me feel really good
Yeah, you'd really like that
ethically
house.
about
Can
the
I
yeah
have-
about the wealth that I've just inherited. He's a
Harry
little-
loves
That was
him
my
for-
one. That was my one question that I had for the whole stream was, would you marry Darcy for his Pemberley?
Yes.
My brother-in-law used to say really acidically, or she only liked him for his Pemberleys. And I'm like, that is the point of the book, partly.
Yeah.
Right? That is partly the whole point of the book, is that they have to marry for money.
Mm. And also it's not just Pemberley, it's the fact that she goes there and everyone who works for him adores him and feels so respected by him. I feel like it's
Yeah.
a combo of the two is
And he's
the
got
best of both
taste,
worlds.
and it's like like it's
Yeah.
a lovely kind of artistic place, and it's got beautiful gardens, and it's like
Yeah.
it's not just the money, it's the type of money too.
Mm.
Which might
As
lead us
slick as he
into
looks.
into one of Peyton's serious questions, which I thought was a really good question, which is, do you think there's any kind of awareness from Austen or the characters about where the money comes from, or any kind of ethics around class or colony or anything? This is a Peyton question, and I highly agree with it.
I don't
You
know
know
that the
what's hard-
characters.
Oh,
No, you
sorry.
go, Peyton. Go.
I was just going to say what's hard about this is that because we're a contemporary audience, we don't know what things are just being taken for granted by Jane Austen. There are all sorts of, because I learned later that she does tell you what certain people's jobs are, but she tells you by just saying he comes from this city. And at the time, people would know if you lived in that city, you would have this job. And today we have no idea. So that's one thing that makes it hard, but then the ethics stuff is also interesting to think about.
That's hard because I think she used it like money's kind of like a trial for the character sometimes. I think she kind of talks about it. Not like Knightley in Emma is pretty I love Emma's my favorite. But he's kind of also generous with his money. And then Darcy is also generous with his money. So I think she kind of like good people, I guess, in Austen's works use their money kind of well.
But I guess the
To
question is
push
getting
aside the
at,
ethics.
when we think of good people, that most of their wealth is coming from the colonies, right? Even
Yeah,
the shawls they're wearing, the muslin, and the and the tea that we're all drinking. And that, yeah, it is. I mean, it really is a colonial novel, right?
100%.
A colonial era novel.
I
Except
think it was
for-
in.
Can I
you
make a
go,
point
Ellie.
real quick? I'm pretty sure that the Bingley money, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure the Bingley money comes from trade.
Yeah, but
Like that's how they got
Yeah.
their wealth.
yeah,
as
but
opposed to,
trade in
no,
Yeah, it is,
not
yeah.
1800s.
no, not saying not colonial, but as opposed to, but juxtaposed to Darcy, whose wealth is generational.
Yeah.
He does make a
Yes.
point about saying that, I think, because
I think she does push aside
Miss
the ethics
Bingley
with
and the sister who's not Miss Bingley anymore,
Mrs. whatever fate is.
Hurst. They're always like turning their nose up at poor people, and it's like, oh, okay, well, but you're not you're not those kind of wealthy people. You're these kind of wealthy people. So she does make the distinction between the two.
They're like
So there is
new-
more there if you get your fingers into it.
It's
It
like
is interesting, the class stuff, because they have the Bingleys who are kind of the new money, but they still make their wealth from owning things. And then I think they mention the Bennets, their like aunt and uncle or whatever, have like a more working class is not the right word, but they're like they
I know.
have money,
Class.
but it's from like
The gardeners?
huh?
The gardeners?
I
The
Yeah,
think
that's
so.
their name. Yeah, the name.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they like
Mrs. Gardner.
own a business of some kind. I can't
Yeah.
fully
They're
remember.
of the
He's
they
a-
merchant
would be
class.
like
Yeah.
petite bourgeoisie. The way I see it is you have people like Mr. Darcy who have that generational wealth, like you said, and then you have the emerging bourgeoisie class of the time, which is like such a diverse group of people. Some would have accumulated a lot of wealth, maybe like the Bingleys. If they made their money through trade alone and it's that new money, then that would make them like a very affluent bourgeoisie family. And then there are like tiers to it. So you would have the Bennets and what was it? The Gardeners? Wait.
Yeah, Mr. and Mrs.
Yeah,
Gardner,
yeah,
I think
yeah.
it is. Yeah.
And so on. But which is something that I found interesting as well was like it's weird to be caught between empathizing with the Bennets as people who have to whose financial situation is precarious and they have to make their money through trade and things like that and through marriage and it's a pretty delicate situation. But then because they're these upstart bourgeoisie types of people, they're also upholding capitalism in such a pretentious way. Like they're always looking down on people who are poorer than them, like the Lucases. They're so mean to the Lucases. And they're always bragging about how they have servants and stuff. So it's like I will go from feeling for them, especially Mrs. Bennet, and then the next scene she'll say something so offensive that makes me hate her.
Yeah. It's funny because if you think about Jane Austen as penniless too, as like being a hostage to other people, like as well. Like this is obviously something she experienced.
What I
Yeah.
think with the trial, though, is that she does use that to push aside the ethics of where the money comes from. Like, I think she's like, but these people are kind of good with the money.
Yeah,
But I
she's
don't know that
really
she
likable
I don't know that
despite
she
their
would have
wealth.
even considered that. Like
No.
she wouldn't have even thought about where the money came from. That wasn't an issue for her, so
I
she
think
doesn't
so.
have to
I
talk about it
think
in the books.
I think we consider it now, and I wonder if Jane Austen wrote a novel now, if she would approach it with the same kind of satire she did back then. But I don't think that at the time it is something that she was thinking of.
I think she would be too distracted by like laptops and spell check and
True.
Facebook
immediately
and
be like,
Instagram
whoa.
and book talk. She'd be all over book talk.
Something that people debate. I feel like there's a scene in Emma, and if anyone here is more familiar with Emma, because I've only read it once, then please let me know. But I feel like there's a dinner party where they are sort of nearing the topic of the colonies and where their money has come from, and someone implies that slavery is wrong. This is why it's like
Oh,
contentious. People
that's a
debate
big part of Mansfield Park.
Mansfield
Her uncle
Park.
has her uncle's come back from Africa, I believe.
That's right. Yeah, that's the one. And as far as I know, that's the only book where she actually like pretty much touches on the
Yeah.
topic. And then all of the others, it's exactly how you've described. She seems to, again, like take it for granted or just not want to.
And then again, like one of the biggest tropes at the moment, which I don't understand in the current climate, but all power to people, is billionaires, right? Like there's so many billionaire romances right now. So I think if you think of it as a romance and a satire of her era, I think you could say the same thing now if you picked up a romance that was also
Yes.
satirizing things. It probably wouldn't be commenting on some of this stuff. Like
That's
Yeah.
what got me thinking about it. I've read a bunch of those lately, and I always pay attention to how they're trying to justify that wealth or make that person likable. And sometimes it's just that they don't tell you how they got their wealth, or they make it motorbike, or they make it seem like or they make it seem like it came from some sort of invention or labor, which is just practically impossible. You're not going to get $1 billion from inventing something super cool.
Or that's eco-linked. There's lots of eco-linked like billionaire.
Yeah.
They're like, but they're saving, not hurting it.
Or they inherit it or something.
I think
Right,
the
I've
reason
got-
people like those billionaire romances now, though, is very similar to the reason that they would have liked it then as well, is it's the comforts of the money, and people don't consider, they're just not considering where that money comes from.
You're
Or
so
as you
right.
said, they're just putting their ethics aside so that we can look at how comfortable it would be to live in that situation.
And the fantasy of the money is great, right?
Yeah.
Like we'd all love to. Everyone plays the game of if I won the lottery, what would I do? I have a question that's a slight twist on one that we were thinking about, which is there a a rule of etiquette from Austen's time that you wish we could bring back?
Judging people's handwriting.
Don't we do that now? You don't do that now?
Well, I would never get a suitor, quite frankly, because I honestly, my handwriting is atrocious. But
You
every
could
time
hire
I
a letter writer.
every time I read it, I just find it so funny that that's how they talk about things like that. I'm like, well, his handwriting was just
His
disgusting.
penmanship is terrible.
Yeah, his penmanship is awful.
Can't marry Harry.
Sentences drag on. Page
I
on
If
would
you have a
love-
cold, staying with someone for a week or two.
Yeah.
Staying in bed.
Fun.
I can't possibly get home. I'm just going to stay here. Bring me food.
I would love to not be able to be talked to by anyone I hadn't been formally introduced to.
But it only works if you're upper class, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, we're all
I would never be, so
Yeah.
it's
And
a
how did you get
dream.
your money in this situation?
Inventing something really cool.
What would you do, Emmy? What would you
I
pick?
don't mind the dance card. I don't mind because you could know what's coming, right? If you have to talk to this awkward guy, you could prep yourself. You'd be like, all right, I got to talk to Tom over there. That's coming. I'll make up some small talk and just watch my feet. And
I
then
like that you're obliged to dance the whole time because like you have to, at least
I
that
hate it.
takes the anxiety out of it. Like I wouldn't like to dance for that long, but at least I don't have to worry that anyone's gonna leave me standing on the sidelines because someone will take pity on me eventually and dance with me, surely.
Unless
Well,
Mr.
I
Darcy's
share-
there, of course.
Can I
True,
share a
yeah.
comment?
And he'll call
From
me
Rowan.
ugly and
I also liked that
family.
I
girls
don't
could,
dance
like
with
if
uggos.
girls weren't partnered up, you could dance with each other. I thought that was pretty cool. It'd be
Yeah.
great to spend
Yeah.
the day with your bestie, just like the one. My dance card's empty. Let's just dance all night. That would be fun.
Yeah.
I don't know. The
Rowan
dance
in the
seems like a
chat
checklist.
says, I wish we still wrote super long rambling letters to our friends to share gossip. Something nice about salacious news delivered on pretty stationery.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So
I like that as well. I wish we did letter writing as well, but
People would
so
spend an
time
average
consuming.
of- yes, everyone had it scheduled in every single day of the week to spend hours writing letters. Like the more people you knew,
Yeah.
the more
Yeah.
it would take up your day, which is wild to think about.
I mean, we're in
Imagine
Australia too,
France.
so Ozpost already struggles.
Oh, true.
You're right, ladies.
I think they do a good job.
But if we
on
brought
not
back
much money.
handwriting letters on
Very
Harry
true, Amy.
stationery, then I think Harry's wish for judging people on handwriting, that also would come back.
You would.
Very true.
Yeah.
True.
Easy tie-in.
Yeah.
All right.
I moved interstate when I was young and used to write handwritten letters to my grandmother at the time because she loved them so much. And I just think, yeah, I agree with that. I think there is something so nice in a handwritten letter. There's something so much more sentimental about it than the text message that we do now.
Yeah.
So
And I'm so
dance
bad at
cards?
sending
So
texts.
who hasn't gone? Who
Yeah.
hasn't said?
Abby.
I was like, I'll just
she
let
was
them go.
slithering out of it.
I
Oh,
always
I
do.
really don't know. I feel like everyone in the book knows how to ride a horse. I feel like everyone should know how to ride a horse, only because
Besides that.
Yeah.
only because then we should bring back normalizing riding horses everywhere instead of cars.
Oh,
Except
yeah.
you used to have to put up with like all the horse poo. Like, did you know before the car was invented, they reached this point where the pollution from horse poo was so bad in cities that it was like a crisis, and the gases it let off, and like it was like, I don't think all of us should ride a horse. I'll walk. I'll take a bullet in the team and walk.
All right.
That's fine. I'll ride my horse.
Yeah. I'll wave to you as you pass.
Yeah.
Take the
You
carriage.
can whip the peasants as you go with your crop.
Abby can take us
No.
around on her horse. And we can
Well,
just
let's face
relax.
it, she can ride a dragon and we'll wave at her dragon.
Real.
That's not going to fit into the theme. Not with our dance cards and
I am
handwriting
sure-
judgment. And then Abby's
I'm
on a
sure there
dragon.
must be an Austen themed romantasy
There
somewhere.
is an Austen themed romantasy with dragons. It was on my recommendations for
No
this, if
way.
you saw them. Yeah.
We paid attention, didn't we?
Yeah, clearly.
All right, Peyton, take it away.
Well, I was wondering if we want to fill in Mr. Collins's Hinge profile. Like, what would he say on a dating profile? Twitter,
Can I Can
Or
I
Hinge.
say
I
I'm
mean,
old
Tinder or Hinge.
and I've never ever seen a Hinge profile, so you're gonna have to help me out.
Me
It kind of
either.
confused me too. But basically, for anyone who isn't familiar with Hinge, you get these prompts and you have to fill them in, and then when people look at your profile, they can see what you've filled in on certain prompts. You can also
Wait, I
record
have one
yourself
already.
verbally.
My
One of his
question
simple
is,
pleasures is boiled potatoes.
Yes.
I would
True.
say every single prompt he has to name drop Lady Catherine de Bourgh.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah.
God,
yes.
yeah. My simple
Green flags I
pleasures
look
are
for a lady who can appreciate the architecture of Lady Catherine de Bourgh's home.
Slight mentions to her tyranny as well. Just slight mentions.
Green flags I look for a lady who is approved of by Lady Catherine.
Mhm.
a
I'm
lady
weirdly
without too many
attracted to
opinions.
Lady Catherine de Bourgh.
Yes.
Soft spoken.
Things I don't like. Women who continue to live after they've lost their virtue.
Yeah. There was a part where he's talking about Charlotte and their marriage, and he's like, we have the exact same opinions about everything. We are the same person. And you're like, no, you're really not. Charlotte's just like, great, I have a home, I have money.
Yeah.
And then she's writing
Charles
a
is
hell of a lot
smart.
of letters.
Yeah.
You
She's
go
just so much
really,
Come,
smarter
so I have
than
someone to
him.
talk
She-
to.
you go really
Goes
simple
keep
with
her
it
mouth
and
shut.
just say, I'm weirdly attracted to my cousins.
Oh, Abby, Lee just put that in the chat. I'm weirdly
Ah.
attracted to the eldest of my
Yes,
cousins.
Lee.
But I'll
on the
take
same
any of them
page.
if that one doesn't work out.
Oh my gosh, Fiction Distilling mentioned his list of well-studied compliments. That is very funny. I love that whole interaction where he's like, no, I try to give them as unstudied an air as possible.
He's just describing having a conversation with someone, and everyone has to be like, wow.
Potatoes, great.
Oh.
All right, Peyton, kick off with the next one because I think I don't want to miss the next one before we run out of time.
That's true. We are coming up on 45 minutes.
We
Are
are.
we? Oh my
So
god.
you've got a couple of what's the next one? I really like the next one. Everyone's waiting with bated breath
Oh,
now.
I hate
I
this.
haven't
It's
even-
like-
I haven't even
Oh,
finished my
why? Why do you
Am
hate
I
this?
doing
This
the
is
next
so
one?
girly.
The
Yeah, well,
question-
let's do you know, can I say it? I'll just announce it.
Yeah, wait. This one
Yeah.
is what all of them would go to prison for. If they're all in prison, what would they be sent to prison for? So I think Mary would be like an understudy of someone in the opera, and I think she would kill that woman so that she could play the role. And so she would go to jail.
Can I just say Mary is my quiet favorite?
Yes.
I think Mary is underrated. She's never there. There are a lot of adaptations that just remove Mary entirely. Like the Bollywood one just has Lydia,
Yeah, she's
Kitty,
gone.
and
Yeah.
they just remove Mary. And I'm
Poor
like,
Mary.
bless her, she just wants to read and and hates
Yeah.
balls. I love
have
her. I
the
feel a
book
kindred spirit with
about her. What
Mary.
is it? Is it called like The Forgotten Sister or something? But it's about Mary Bennet. So we should read that.
I
It's
will read
just,
that.
it's such a long book. Who has time for that?
It's a bargain. You get all those pages for the same price. All right, everyone else, what else would we go for?
Oh, Collins would be public nuisance or like verbal assault or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody would be
Clearly.
like, can you get rid of this, man?
Yes. He would
Clearly
like
Wickham
talk to
Wickham's
the
away for kitty fiddling,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
we
Kitty
know
Fiddling.
what Wickham goes away
Yeah.
for, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I reckon, yeah, Mr. He would go away for like speaking to royalty before being properly introduced, and they'd be like treason or something.
I think Jane would be someone's inadvertent accomplice in like a crime because she
Yeah,
just
or
believes so well
framed.
of them. She doesn't think
Yeah.
they would do
No.
anything wrong. So of course
He'd
she
And
accidentally
maybe-
become the getaway driver of a
maybe-
robbery or something.
Bingley would go away for accidental bigamy. He somehow accidentally married two different women because two different people told him to.
Very true. I reckon Lizzie is such a loyal person. She would defend Charlotte. Is it Charlotte? She would probably kill Mr. Collins for her.
Yes.
And
She's very
get away
judgmental.
for it.
Like she's incredibly judgmental of everyone, including her sisters. So
Yeah.
maybe slander or something.
True.
She wrote too many nasty letters and they got printed or something.
Yeah.
Well, they got intercepted by the police. They were like, My Lord. I don't think Lydia should go to jail. I don't think she will ever go to jail.
I think she'd get
No.
out of it. I think she would find a way out of it.
Agree.
She'd
Yeah.
be at Brighton when they came to arrest her.
Mrs. Bennet would be something like, what do you think Mrs. Bennet would be? Where would she go?
Killing Mr. Collins.
Killing? Or disorderly conduct?
She'd spike his potatoes with something.
I feel like she'd accidentally make an enemy of
Squatting.
someone powerful.
Yeah.
Squatting.
Yeah.
I think you're
Well,
right,
okay.
Justina. I think she would get falsely accused of a crime or something, but it would be really easy to set her up, kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
She
She would
become
be a
friends
great
with
fall guy.
someone.
What about
Yeah.
Mr. Bennet?
Child neglect.
Fraud.
Spousal neglect.
Yeah.
Full child protection on him.
Darcy?
Phil
What
isn't-
about Darcy? Did we say Darcy?
Oh.
I can't picture him in prison.
I feel like he would also go for murder, but of Wickham probably.
True.
Buy his
And he
way
would
out
get
of
out
it.
immediately. He would pay
Yeah.
his
That's
bail
true.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
He would be one of those people
probably
that can
committed crime for a
scrub
good
all of the
reason.
evidence.
Yeah.
I think he's
Yeah,
literally
yeah.
too privileged to go to prison.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I
think
feel
you're
like
right.
Miss Bingley would love the fact that she could earn money through social media, and I can see her with 5 daughters wanting to be one of those blogger families.
God, she would.
And they always
so
have
be-
negative outcomes.
Yes,
Secrets.
a family vlog. Mm.
That's such a good call.
She would be such. Yeah, she would be an influencer.
Social media.
All right, we got time for one more of Peyton's, and
Shall
I'm
we
just
do
going to
the-
spoil it. Yeah, we're
Oh,
going to do
God.
Fuck, Marry, Kill, Pride and Prejudice edition.
Oh, things or people?
Things
Things.
then.
Things. Okay.
Yeah.
No.
So you see the options here.
Yes. Yes.
Reading. Is it 4 and Chase or Chase and 4? You know,
Or in Shays? I don't know.
horse and cart.
I've never had one.
Eloping.
I
What?
think I'm underprivileged.
Oh, well.
You don't have one? Embarrassing.
Where's my
I know what to
horse?
say.
Well, you can't very well fuck no sex before marriage, can you?
Oh, good.
No, I think you have to kill that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do have to kill
Yeah.
that.
So
No,
Sophie in the chat says that Lizzie would get done for defamation, and Carmen says Miss Bennet would be accused of some crime and fully accidentally admit to something else while denying the first crime.
She can't stop talking.
that's good.
That is correct.
Okay, so which one did we start with? The 4 and Shays or reading? What one did you start with?
Oh, I see. As in this one, and then these 3, and
Yeah.
then these 3.
Yeah.
I was
Oh,
very
okay.
confused.
Okay. I also.
What is 4 and
Valid.
Shays? What is
It's
that?
like a carriage.
Yeah.
Oh,
4
okay.
horses and a
Okay.
carriage. Yeah.
It's a,
Wow.
like a rich people carriage because you have 4 horses.
I was going to say, just to throw
Yeah.
back, another thing we should keep is judging people for walking. That's a good thing as well.
Oh, yeah.
That's
You're
we
not
should
going to
keep
like my
that.
answer to the second one.
All right, so first
Uh,
one. Let's just there's a few of you, so let's pick. So Millie, you do the first row.
From
Marry,
back.
reading,
Yeah.
and I guess fuck the carriage and kill the eloping.
So you fucking the carriage and the 4 horses. Got it?
Yeah,
All 4
great.
horses.
Doesn't that just mean I fuck with it, as in
Yeah,
I would
think
have it?
that's yes.
I guess.
I have no use for eloping, so it has to be killed.
All right.
All horses. Peyton's like, cool.
Should we read the
All
next
right.
one, Peyton? And Peyton, you nominate someone to answer this next one.
Okay, Justina. Long country walks, taking a turn about the room, fancy dancing with lots of fiddly rules.
I would marry long country walks.
Mm.
Sorry, Harry. Oh, I think I would. I think I would kill fancy dancing and then fuck taking a turn about the room, I suppose.
Okay.
I can't with all the fiddly rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really want to see people taking a turn about the room. What does that mean? You walk around the perimeter?
I
Doesn't
think it's a
matter how
really
small
No,
they
you
are?
just
fancy
walk
word
around the
for
room like you
pacing
take a-
anxiously.
You take a break and walk around the
You
room.
walk.
Imagine if we contemporized Pride and Prejudice and they're like,
We'll
and then
do it.
Lizzie walked around the perimeter.
But you often
There is
did it with
something-
someone and had a gossip, right?
Yeah.
I also think this works when you're in a huge mansion with big rooms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
giant, like Buckingham Palace style palatial rooms.
There's something so awkward about taking turn about the room in the 2005 adaptation when Miss Bingley us.
I know the one
We
you're
need to do
thinking
it.
of. Yeah.
And the room's
Yeah.
not even that large. And she's like, let's take a turn about the room. And Lucy's kind of like, okay.
Okay.
All right.
And
So that one?
I felt for her then.
I should watch that
It's
because that's
awkward.
exactly how I visualized it reading it. I was
Yeah.
picturing like a kind of moderately sized room and then just randomly having to get
It
a
is.
break from sitting to
And it is awkward.
walk.
It's awkward.
She's trying to do this weird power play, and everyone's uncomfortable with it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So funny.
All
Abby,
right.
Oh,
I reckon
yes.
Abby should do the last one.
Okay. Ratafia, however you pronounce it. Is that the alcohol? Or are we talking
Yep.
about something else?
Yeah, the alcohol.
Okay.
Fuck that.
It always makes me think of like a wicker chair or something, though. Like I'm just going to sit down in my ratafia right now.
Ratafia. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that I would marry the alcohol, fuck cravats, and kill no sex before marriage.
Fuck cravats? Fuck cravats?
Well, I wasn't
This is the
gonna
only
say
one
it.
I've ever had an issue with that we've
What would you do then, Harry? In this
What would
exact
you do?
lineup, what
So
would
do you not have an issue? So you would keep no sex before marriage?
Oh shit. It's a three.
Ah.
Those two go.
Ah.
Right,
So
yeah.
you're marrying cravats instead?
Cravats. Oh god.
They were fiddly, horrible things.
Awful business, yeah. Oh.
Awful.
Have no sense
awful,
of fashion,
oppressive
hey?
business.
Just had on that around. Oh god.
All right, there is one last unserious question which I will ask for Peyton, and it's for Justina and Abby. Who do you think Jane Austen's bias would be?
Is there a slide
Oh.
for that, Peyton?
There is not. I'm sorry.
Let us down.
Hints.
I wonder if, because I saw this question before and I have been thinking about it, apologies. But I wonder if her, and for anyone who listening or watching who doesn't know bias, we mean K-pop bias, which is your favorite in a band. I don't even know if her bias would be in Stray Kids, which is our favorite. Maybe 17 would be
The
her.
only one that I know of is Blackpink. Blackpink, can you?
Oh yeah, maybe she'd be a girl's
know.
girl.
Yeah, she might.
Girl group stan.
Oh yeah.
Maybe she's all about Jenny.
Maybe. Yes.
Nice.
I must admit, I know very little about the girl groups. That's ruled out. What are your
Misogyny.
thoughts,
I'm
Christine?
kidding.
Yeah,
My
Or
pick for her-
heterosexuality, one or the other.
My pick for her from Stray Kids is actually Changbin because
Oh.
I mean, again, this is going to be like this is literally just me and Abby having a conversation.
I was going to say, a
But
very
I'm
good
up
part
for
of our
that.
audience
We'll just
might
turn our
enjoy this.
screens off.
kind of like an ongoing joke that he was quite rich before being in the band. Like in the pre-debut show, he's got like a chandelier in his house and they all make fun of him for it. So he's got the wealth and he's also very principled. So I feel like those are the two clinches for Jane.
That's a
Yeah.
good
Yep.
answer.
That's a
is a
great
good
answer.
We're matchmaking. That's not just a bias, that's a love interest for Jane.
And for people
Jane?
to understand, Changbin is my bias wrecker. So for me, that works.
Thanks for joining us. Now, before we go, we've got a couple of things. So firstly, I want to shout out to the two people who won the book giveaway. So to Amy, who won Elizabeth of East Hampton, and also to Jan, who won Pride and Prejudice, the lovely hard copy, which I can't show you because it's already gone to Jan. So thanks for entering. We will be having book giveaways every single month. So if you check us out on Instagram in the next week, we'll be announcing the next one. So you've got another chance to win it. And we're also going to give away 2 books next month.
We're so generous.
I know, we're so lovely. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. Before we get into next month, we also have to announce the winner of the Fiction Distilling Prize. I've got my bottle up here, my Pride and Prejudice. I also bought a Gatsby when I saw them. And if you follow them on Insta, they've got a new one coming out, but they haven't announced what it is yet. So you can follow along and
saw that
get
coming
the
in
big
April.
No, I
reveal.
was staring at the blurry title. Like I don't know enough about classics to even
I
make
know
a
what it
guess.
is. I
What
know.
is it? Lord of the Rings. Lord.
Absolutely not.
So I'm going to hand over to Harry and Abby, who are going to announce the winner of our Fiction Distilling Pride and Prejudice first edition gin.
I must admit as well, we being Justina Peyton and I tried this gin at Biblioteca and it is really nice. So
It's really good.
it's very good.
I mean, the bottle-
Harry, you spun the wheel. Would you like to announce our winner?
I did spin the wheel. So Abby and I were on a phone call just before we started recording, and I spun the wheel with all the people that we had, and our winner is Brianne Foster.
Go Brienne.
Go, Brienne.
So we will reach out to Brienne and get your details, and we will have Fiction Distilling. We'll be sending you a bottle of first edition Pride and Prejudice gin. And if you haven't checked them out, it's so cool. Like to have fiction, like classics. And
I
the
love the
gin
way
is
that they've-
seriously good.
I love the way they've designed it, that if you turn the bottle, it fits right in with your books on the shelf.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's great.
I don't
Also,
want
I've
to get
just
your
seen
hopes
that
up.
comment saying
Yeah,
we
I don't want to
wish we
get your
could
hopes
do
up,
Lord of the
Harry.
Rings. I will hold on. I will hold on.
So thanks again for joining us. Keep an eye on Instagram for all those news. I want to announce before we finish up that our theme next month in April is going to be climate fiction, which is perhaps not exactly what you think it is. So we'll be diving in with some special guests. We have a guest host, Melanie Ross, who is doing her PhD and looking at the forest imagination. We will be talking to a couple of academics who look into cli-fi, and we'll be talking to a couple of guest authors. We have Jennifer Mills coming to talk to us about her latest book. So there's a lot happening next month. And if you follow the Instagram, we'll be announcing the book of the month for next month, I think soon, and then you can get reading.
Yeah, it should
can't
be
believe it's
early
the
next
end
week.
of
Yeah.
March.
I'm so
Bonkers.
excited. Climate fiction seems so scary until I started reading about it, and now I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
it's so cool.
Yes, it can be a lot different to how you imagine. I think we
Yeah.
all imagine dystopias, but it's
A
not necessarily
litany of
that.
things are covered under this genre.
I'm
Yeah,
really
Litany.
excited to read our book of the month because I feel
So
like
am I.
it'll be not what I'm expecting
Mm.
kind of thing.
yeah.
Love the
Right,
cover.
so with that special teaser, thanks for joining us. Thank you to Peyton for the extra questions and the slideshows. Thanks for all 6 of you, 5 of you plus me.
Thank you,
all
Amy.
6 of us.
Thanks, Amy.
Yeah.
Can't
Thanks, Amy,
count,
for
so,
hosting.
Our beloved
Yeah.
host shouting herself out again.
Go me. Thanks for joining us. Get on the Facebook chat, get on the Instagram, and we'll see you next month.
Bye.
Amy And is hosted by Amy Matthews, Abby Guy, Peyton Hogan, Justina Ashman, Harry Stewart, and Millie Heffernan. This podcast is recorded on Gardenland with music by Anthony Wignall and Mass Wisteria. Our logos and branding are designed by Abby Guy. This episode was edited by Abby Guy.